everybody. Welcome back to It's an Okay podcast. Thank you, Anchor, for
Big
all
up.
that you do. Big ups. Today we are talking about manifestation. I'm so excited. I brought so many good stories to tell
She
you
said she's
guys.
ready.
She's prepared.
Okay, star.
How was you guys' day?
We have a new member of the family, Mr. Micah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Oh, that's what you named him?
Got a fish.
Yeah.
That's what you named him? Micah?
Yeah. Well, it was between Micah and Julien. So we went with
You-
Micah.
Girl, I
Oh.
would have rather call him Julien. I want to call
Bye.
him Julien. he's
This podcast
like
is officially
Sebastian.
over.
He's like Sebastian from
We can put up a picture of Micah. He's beautiful, pink and purple.
His name's
He
Julien.
is pretty.
Yeah. He's French.
Oh, wow.
Daniel
That's a
was
French
like,
name.
Yeah, that's a French ass name, Yvonne. Well, actually, and so Julien came because he said Julia, and I was like, I don't think we should name our fish after our friends.
Yeah.
So, I was like, well, what about Julien? And he was like, oh, that's nice. And then we drove in the car for a little bit longer, and I was like, so what's the fish's name? And he said Micah.
Yeah. I like that name. That's a cool
Me
name
too.
for a fish.
Girl, Julien is so much better.
I like Micah. It gives like a leather jacket and bicycle type of vibe.
Yes.
What's up? I'm Micah. I'm Micah the fish. Anyway.
It's Micah the beta fish.
MBF, a motherfucking beta bitch.
Well, I had a pretty good day. I didn't really do a lot. I just watched a lot of episodes of Charmed. And then I also
that's like most of your everyday.
Recently it is most of my everyday. I'm no longer fighting not like having anything to do. And I'm just
She said, I'm gonna lean all the way into this.
Yeah, I'm just gonna embrace it. Like the workaholic in me is like, no, I have to be making music. I have to be doing something. Yeah. But then I land myself in situations where I'm like, what am I doing? How did we get here? So I'm like, no more of that. If I don't have anything to do and it's not coming organically, I'm going to enjoy the rest that God is telling me to enjoy. So
I mean, you are human and you need to be loved,
Yes, I do.
Like
you're
everybody
right.
Else.
Wow. I just realized what you were doing. Wow, you're right. You're right, and you're right. But Beth, you want to tell us about your day?
Girl, first the day started off with me going to get brunch with my friends, and we ain't waiting for 3 hours for food.
3 hours.
3 hours, and then we ate, and then we drank, and then we went to the pool, and now I'm home and I'm relaxing, and I love it here.
Nice. Oh, I also talked to Mom. Sorry, I don't want to exclude her.
Oh,
I talked her head off for a literal hour.
I have not talked to Mom.
Did you call Mom?
You've also been out all day.
She definitely easily could have just. Well, actually, I lied. Mom said hi to me in the group chat.
I sent her mail, so.
Okay.
She was calling me to let me know she got her mail, and then I talked her head off about my issues for an hour. She's like, thanks for the mail. I'm like, you're welcome. So anyway. At one point in the conversation, I was like, Mom, this is your fault. You sheltered me and raised me with love. Now I know how to navigate.
No, like really? Because we were at the pool today, and I'm not to cut you off. We were at the pool today, and I felt so embarrassed because we were in the pool, and I was like, we're all just like talking and Kiki, we're all in our own corners, and I'm like, yeah, it's like, do you guys remember when you guys were in swim lessons and they would make you do this? And I was like holding on to the edge of the pool and like kicking, and they're all looking at me like, no, like our parents didn't put us in swim lessons. They all just threw us in the pool. And I was like, oh, like no one else went to swim lessons. And they're like, no, like what? That's weird. Like looking at me like they're like, you had a different life than us.
That's funny.
Then you're like, you remember when your parents used to feed you? And they're like, what?
No.
They're like dead serious. You guys are all looking at me like I was crazy. Like they're like, what? They're like, no. Like I really felt so embarrassed because I was like, yeah, you guys remember like the boogie boards they would give you? And I was just like super excited to like talk about the fact that we went to swim lessons, and they're like, like the conversation kind of like, like you pick up the vinyl and it scratches. And it was literally everybody staring at me like that. And I was just like, they're like, no, our parents just threw us in the pool and that's how we learned how to swim. And I was like, oh, Okay.
Okay.
Then we were like talking, and I was like, yeah, do you guys remember those like McDonald's cups that you used to get in a Happy Meal? They all started looking at me like, what are you talking about? I was like, I had my birthday at like McDonald's. I was like, you guys remember that? And they were looking at me like, they're like, yeah, we definitely didn't have the kind of life you did. You had a privileged life. And I was just like,
McDonald's,
McDonald's?
my dude.
Sorry, I
McDonald's?
didn't mean to scream in the microphone.
Like, my guy, McDonald's.
No, honestly, I do believe that people think if you were raised with love, that you're like, I mean, it is a privilege, don't get me wrong, because there are tests and studies shown on kids who like whose parents have books in the house and whose parents don't, right? Like it is a privilege to have a mom who's very educated and like full of love and stuff like that. But people really do think like if you are like raised on love, like how like X's out the fact that like when you go out in the world, the real world, like you're gonna deal with abuses from everybody else. So that somehow makes us privileged. But anyway, so you were saying something. You were like, that's why
we were on the phone with mom, and she was like, I'm sorry that because we were talking about the world. I'm like, Mom, there's a lot going on in the world. And she's like, yeah, I just feel like we're just more connected now. I'm like, no, Mom, like there's a lot happening, and there's a lot happening right now just in the world, like everywhere. I think people's mental health isn't well. And she's like, well, all of this stuff has been happening. It's just that, we're more connected now with technology. And then I was like adamant, like, no, Mom, it's not technology. Like,
the
people are
world's on fire.
unwell.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's my fault that I raised you guys to be so sheltered. I'm like, what?
I was joking. I need her to
She
relax.
internalized it.
It
So
was
thanks,
literally a
Corey.
joke. Like I need her to relax. I need her to relax. Anyway, manifestation. I'm
Oh, wait,
excited.
pause. Before you continue. So this girl today, the fact that you just sang that, I always sing things. Like when I'm at work, I'm like, I need to calm down. And the girl today was like, you just go sing everything. I was like,
Yeah.
and will.
and will.
Sometimes the boys feel blue.
Boys, we are the boys.
Well, manifestation. What is manifestation to you? For me, continuing on the conversation of it being all my mom's fault. I'm just kidding. My mom used to. I would always say stuff like out of anger as a kid, and my mom would always be like, "Watch what you say because the like what is it like the tongue
Words
is
have power.
powerful."
Yeah.
And she would always tell me to watch what I say, and our extended family is the same way. Like our aunts and our grandma is the same exact way. So I grew up just always being cautious of the words that I said because I was afraid that I would speak something to power that I didn't want to out of frustration. So I think that I got the early tools of learning how to manifest, but not really knowing what I was doing.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about like not control, but it's about being intentional with what it is that you want. If you tuned into our podcast, episode 2, dating apps, how I was saying that my dating app profile says looking for a live man, I was manifesting that, not realizing it, and I was knocking everything else in my life kind of off track, right? Because I wasn't being intentional. So for me, manifestation is about being intentional.
Yeah, I agree. For me, I think like manifestation really is just like repackaging of things that we were been taught growing up. And like I can think of 3 Bible verses like off the top of my head that talk about how like life and death is in the power of your own tongue. Like call the things that are, or God called the things into being that did not exist. Like that is, the power of God. And then Proverbs, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. So eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart is not with thee. So as a man thinketh, there shall he go. And that's in Proverbs. And so all of those things lend itself to the new, I guess, like the most current definition of manifestation, which is just about aligning your thoughts and words, like aligning that with the life that you want to have and the things that you want to happen. And so to me, that's what manifestation is. It's an alignment where that you have deep within yourself, and the things that you think, the things that you say, because as you speak, that is the world that you
are creating
for yourself.
Yeah. I
agree on that because so I think that manifestation is exactly what you both said. Mom definitely taught us that your words have power, and to speak with intentionality. The reason I would think, there's a girl right now who I follow on social media whose mom has contracted the Delta variant of COVID, and she's now incubated and on like a ventilator. And from the time that this woman has been like on this ventilator, right? This girl, they're a God-fearing family. So she's been like just manifesting. I mean, like blocking people left and right that say anything other than that. In short, she's been just manifesting like my mom will survive. Like she's only saying positive things. I will get plasma. I will get this helicopter. I will get this. Like these doctors, I don't care if they tell me. I believe because I have God. That's all she's been saying, right? The first 3 days, the doctors would not budge because she was putting it out on social media. She has like some 300,000 followers. Somewhere in Italy, someone was able to call a USA doctor, get her a transfer. So her mom's now going to get stabilized and is going to get flown to New York to get the treatment that she has been saying that she wanted from day one. And so I just think it's crazy that it's like she never wavered in what she wanted. And it was like for 3 days. I mean, the girl was not sleeping. She was on Instagram. Like, I mean, stories, typically there's like the little slash dashes. It was dots. And I was just watching it like intrigued. And it was like over the course of 3 days, like she was just like, the doctors aren't listening to me. And like, she's like, I have good news. Finally on day 3, she was like, and that's because I never gave up on what I knew I could get for my mom. And I'm like, that's some great, you know what? And just that, I'm over here praying for her because I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna manifest her mom surviving this too. Because like just to watch it from start to finish, like so many people would have already given up. Like when grandma was in the hospital and she was sick, the doctors were saying crazy stuff to our aunts. They were saying crazy stuff. And our aunt was like, don't say that to me.
Yeah, she was like, absolutely not.
She said, don't come in here with that.
Yeah. She's like positive energy only.
Yeah. And if you're not gonna come in here, you can't. There's a password to come in.
No, legit.
And the recovery that like Pumpkin has had has just been like remarkable, because there are young people who have that medical event that she had that don't survive, and she's almost 90 something years old,
still remembers her birthday,
chilling.
Yeah.
To tie in what both of you said, because like there's not really more that I can elaborate on. I do believe that words and when you have intentionality behind the words that you're saying, they have power. Like almost kind of like some and I don't want to say wizardry, because like obviously like
I said I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't say that, but like not everybody believes in God, so I'm not gonna say
it's magic. It really is, and prayer can be magic as well. I do look at manifesting as praying. You're essentially believing that you're going to achieve something, and you're chanting it. They do chants in Catholicism the same way they do it in Tibetan monks. It might look different for everyone, but it's still a spiritual practice of positive thought.
I would call it more of a spiritual practice than I would anything else, because I agree. Like, I was listening to this podcast on, like,
you know what? We're not promoting other podcasts. I'm playing. Go ahead.
I was listening to this audio on miscellaneous audio on Lightwork, and basically what they were saying is she had a guest on her miscellaneous audio. The guest was saying that oftentimes, what people call spells is like someone speaking and then you agreeing. And in the Bible, it actually talks, and I thought it was really interesting because, I mean, I'm a Christian, and like I believe in Jesus, I believe in God, and I believe that Jesus is the Son of God, died and rose again 3 days. You know what I mean? Like, all that. But I was listening to this miscellaneous audio, And
okay, Samelia.
And
you can say podcast.
She was saying, I mean, I'm pretty committed to miscellaneous audio at this point.
I like it. Honestly, it sounds good. Go ahead.
But she was saying how it's really like when people talk about like casting spells, it's like someone says one thing and then another person agrees, and that is actually the spell that's casted. And so I don't look at it like spell casting, but I do think like in the Bible it talks about how like where two or more are gathered and agree in my name. And so I'm like, I just thought that was really interesting where you see like actually you know, that is not that's not a random thing. Like, so even in the 4 agreements, which I talked about on, I think it was our first episode, you being impeccable with your word is also like not speaking anything negatively out about other people, because with your words are very powerful, and that's the life and death that are in the power of the tongue. So the things that you say about people, if you say something negative and that negative word takes root in that person and that person believes what you've just said about them, then that can take their life along a whole different path. And in the same way, when you're talking about manifestation, like you can choose to receive the positive things and let the positive things take root. And if you align that with what your vision is and what you feel the vision that you've been given is, then you can become so powerful when it comes to manifesting things in your life.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a type of person who I have the mindset of I'm going to get it done. I'll do it myself. I'm very much so like, fine. You know, Thanos, I'll do it myself. Like, I really feel, I feel that I have almost this built-in manifestation. Do you think it's something you have to actively work on? I have to just get it done somehow, some way. And I think that is such a big part of how I manifest, because I always come back to like, okay. And I think something as simple as a 4-year plan or 2-year plan, those things that you do in like college courses are manifesting. You know, if you just have the mentality that you want to keep moving forward, you're consistently manifesting. I have a friend who does like law of attraction talks, and we actually like the way we met, I feel like she manifested me on accident. I honestly do. Because she kept saying like, I want to do a famous musician's makeup. I want to be a celebrity makeup artist. And we met and she was like, can I do your makeup? And like that. And then she taught me like more about the law of attraction and how you speak. And she's constantly talking about how the way we think is a constant manifestation, even if you can't outwardly make a better life for yourself at that given moment, right? Because I think that people's issue with manifestation is that to them it seems like rainbows and lollipops, right? If you're not in a good place to manifest, it's really easy to be upset at anyone who is trying to explain to you why law of attraction and manifestation is important, because you're like, I can't just manifest $1,000, you know, but you can.
But you can.
And I really, but you can. And that's what my friend does. She teaches people how to manifest money, and she breaks it down in this way where it's like, what can you do that can help you make $1,000? Think of 5 things that you can do that'll help you make money right now. And she's a coach, so obviously she offers like a class, and she gets a little bit more in depth in your life and helps you figure it all out. But I think that people are very afraid of it because to them it seems very hocusy pocusy and fake. But I think it's very real, and I don't think people should be afraid of the power that manifestation brings. And it be bringing power.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good take on it, just only because there's been times where I didn't even think I've been saying for years prior to me doing the Arnold, I was going to do the Arnold. That was one of the things. I was like, I want to do the Arnold. I want to do the Arnold. And then it finally came time where I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. I didn't really have the money. I mean, and it goes to show how I started in the world of bodybuilding. I was literally competing on a $7.25 paycheck. And I've done show after show after show on $7.25. an hour. And people were literally like, bills were paid and I still was able to compete. Still was able to make, and the shows aren't cheap. The bathing suits aren't cheap. Coaching is not cheap. You still got to pay people. Gym memberships, all that. It gets factored in. And then you have your bills. And so I feel like it is a real thing when like I also believe in like keeping your plans. So like my vision board, I keep my vision board secret. I don't tell anyone my plans until I can see them on the horizon. And then even once I see them on the horizon, I still, while I'm manifesting, until I know that the time is right, I don't share my plans with other people. Like, so when I was competing for the Arnold, I was getting ready for the show. I knew I was getting ready for the show. My family knew I was getting ready for the show. But when people would ask me, "Oh my God, are you getting ready for the show?" I'd be like, "No, I'm just trying to get in shape." Because I feel, and I've had my tarot cards read before. I had, in those readings, they were telling me you have people in your life that are preying on your downfall. So why would I give you information? Why would I, if words have power, why would I allow someone to actively prey on the downfall of something that I'm trying to pray positive into? Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Same with like when things, like, to go back to grandma, when things were going off with grandma, no one in my real life, we didn't post about it on social media. No one that was not in our personal family knew about it. And I feel like that honestly had a lot to do with her recovering the way she did, because we did not allow anybody outside of our immediate circle in to know or to put any shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
And so I really hold true that like manifesting is real. It is powerful. And when you are trying to manifest something over your life, it is best personally if it's somebody that, family is different, because like I'm always going to get, like, we're a pretty close family, so I will always let them in on what's going on and like what I have on my vision board. But for the most part, like, until something comes to fruition, I never share what it is to the public, what that's on my vision board.
Yeah, it's like do you remember Harry Potter in the first one when he's playing Quidditch? No.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to watch it, so
no, I've seen every single Harry Potter. Yeah, I'm grown now. I've seen every single one. I read a few of the books.
Right, same.
But yeah, he's playing Quidditch. What? Go ahead.
Yet I'm the rebel.
But in like there's a scene when he's like on his like broom and he's up in the air, and like you see Snape like mumbling something from the stands, and his broom is going crazy, and like so then Hermione and Ron go and they like start a fire and basically light Snape's cape on fire, and then that breaks Snape's chain of thought, and then you think that Snape was like saying something negative, but actually he was countering someone else saying something negative. And I like, so when Beth was talking, it made me think about that scene where like you're trying to do something good, and so you're not really focused on the negative things that other people would do, because you're so in the positive in the moment trying to be successful. But if you're not careful, and you let people in on what you're trying to do too soon when it's in its infancy, then people can say negative things and just kind of try to kill your dreams.
I've had that happen with like, same with relationships. I've gotten to the point where like I don't know, I did like a study on this with myself. I'm always doing experiments on my life. Call it what it is. I'm crazy. But it would be like, I would
say, have a like, scientist mother, you're drawing hypothesis. You're getting
samples. Let her know it's a scientific method.
Trust me, you don't gotta let me know, because I be telling my boss that too when I be playing Inspector Gadget at work.
Not Inspector
laying
Gadget.
Yes, I be laying out traps and people be falling right in them. Anyway.
Oh.
Is that Inspector Gadget?
Girl, yeah. Inspector Gadget. No, girl. Inspector Gadget. He's gonna figure it out. Anyway, so with relationships, I would tell, I would always see, like, in the beginning, I would be like, oh my God, yeah, girl, I'm talking to this guy. Next thing I know, me and him are no longer talking. And it's like, if you have jealous people around you, and like, mind you, some people don't even realize that they exude jealousy, because it could be something as so much like it's a thought that's quick. You know, it's not like they hate you, but sometimes, like, perfect example, when I was getting flown out to California for the photo shoot, right? This woman that the husband or her fiance was my coach, And she was a professional like powerlifter. She had been to like the Olympics for powerlifting or whatever. I don't really know that whole side of things. I only know what bodybuilding. So she had gone to like one of like the big stages or was invited to something like that, but she had never been asked by like companies to do, you know, photo shoots for them. And so here's me in her mind, this nobody who is getting flown out to be a model for a company's clothing line and to shoot with all these people and getting all these deals. And in her mind, she was like, I'll never forget. She was like, well, why do you get to do it? And I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, well, maybe if you weren't so damn negative, you would possibly manifest things over you. Yeah, I'm a nobody, but all the things in your mind, I'm a nobody. In my mind, I'm a reality TV star, baby.
Period.
Okay.
Somebody. Somebody. Ooh, somebody.
What's happening? No joking.
So like, no, but like literally. So like in my mind, I know where I'm going, baby girl. Like I already have what I want to do. The fact that like, yeah, and like to you, I am a nobody, but to all these other companies that are sending me things, that are working with me, to me, I just feel like that is like it's the hors d'oeuvres. Please get her out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 1000%. I think the other challenge that people have with manifestation is that they don't want to work and they don't want to wait, right? So like, they think that like manifestation, to manifest something is like, well, I thought about it and it didn't happen, so I guess, you know what I mean? It's like you've aligned yourself internally, but are your actions actually in line with what you're doing? So your friend's point, the money coach, like, she's giving you actionable steps. So it's not just thinking it, it's actually doing it. So like in the Bible, it says faith without works is dead. Like you can think all you want and you can believe all you want, but if you're not actually taking clear steps in the direction of what you're trying to, you know, manifest in your life, you're not going to get it. And so, and it's not going to necessarily come when you want it to, when you expect it to. Just because you're taking the steps and you've aligned yourself internally doesn't mean that it's going to happen overnight. Sometimes things take time, and I think that's what a lot of people tend to get wrong about manifestation. It's not like, you know, it's not bibbity bobbity boo and now you're a princess, you know.
And even then,
you.
But even then, it took Cinderella how many years, you know, to get to the ball?
I think a perfect. I had to fight. Is that Cinderella? No,
no, that's the color. The color lavender.
Okay, cool.
I think a good point to that is what you're saying. As things take time, is when I first started performing around the area, I always knew like I would go to open mics before I started being put on like on lineups. I would go to open mics and I would create that reality for myself. My first show that I had done, there's a local artist out here who is not only a really talented musician, but she's also a very talented designer. And she was on the lineup for this show, and she got invited to New York to show a pair of pants that she made. And because of that, she had to be taken off that show lineup. And so there was a vacant spot, and people had been looking at me, and I ended up taking the spot for that show. And I always think about that in a way of like, if she wasn't a designer and wasn't picked to go to New York, I would have never been able to have that opportunity, which then it was like a domino effect of my music career. That things take time, and you're not the only person in the universe, right? So if you're manifesting stuff, you also have to remember that like things are shifting everywhere, and the more in tune and descriptive and developed and detailed your manifestation is, the longer it's going to take. And you want that, right? It's like if you were to cook a cake, you're not going to put all these nice ingredients in and then expect your cake to be done in 10 minutes. You're going to wait that time out for your cake to be done so that it can be as tasty as all of the work that you put into it. But I did want to circle back around and talk about vision boards, because Beth was talking about vision boards earlier. Samilia, what are your thoughts on vision boards? Because I know you've done some in the past as well.
Girl, some. I love a vision board. In the Bible, it says like write the vision and make it plain so that he may run with it with tablets. Basically, saying like write the vision and then make it so clear for yourself that if you had to take it with you on a moment's notice, you could. And so for me, when that, I went through like major life transitions and I was like, okay, well, what are the things that I want in my life? And so I just got really clear. I'm like, okay, in these 10 areas, I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I like laid it out. And then I made an actionable plan. What am I going to do each month that's going to help me reach my yearly goals? And so then from there, I would break it down to like weeks and days. And like as I would accomplish one thing, I would like I would, then insert a picture because I make mine digitally. So I made this like digital picture of what I wanted based off of the things that I saw, online on Pinterest. I would just pick something. This is what I want. This is representative of what I want. And then as I accomplish those things, I would just like insert my pictures of myself doing it. And then over time, I've been doing it digitally for about 3 years. Over time, you just start to see like, man, I'm really accomplishing the things that I set out, the things that I said I wanted to do. And that's important because people tend to forget, right? That's like one of the biggest problems plaguing people today is that you forget, right? Something good happens to you, and then 2 days later something bad happens to you, and you'll say, oh, nothing good ever happens to me. And it's like, girl, literally
So
2 days
true.
ago something good happened to you. And so for me, when it comes to vision boards, it's really important that I stay clear about what my vision is, what I feel like the vision that God gave me for my life, the desires that are within my heart. And so I, make it digitally, I print it out, and I keep it with me. Like I'll put it on my desk at work.
I keep that thing
So,
on me.
What?
Keep that thing on me.
I keep that thing strapped on me. So like I look at it, and so it's subconsciously getting into my mind as well. It's not just like a physical thing that I have to think about every day. I just look at it in passing. And it was so funny. Like recently, I had looked at a picture that I had taken not too long ago, and I'm like, wow, this picture is like so similar to something that I have on my vision board. And I'm like, yo, I'm out here really doing it. Like,
Yeah.
So I love a vision board, all that to say.
I do too, because look, I have on my vision board, I have my, there was stuff that I had accomplished last year that I had on there, and I was like, dang, we were in a pandemic, didn't even have a job, and I still accomplished that. That's crazy. And then this year, I like, obviously I have my G-Wagon on here, but my car breaks down. And although it was not something that I wanted to spend the money on, I got a brand new car that looks luxury. So it's like, I almost feel like that can even though it's not the car that I want, it's in the step in the direction of what I want.
It's like shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars, right?
Right. So like on here, I've got the G-Wagon is what I wanted, but like I also got a pretty, nice car.
Yeah.
So it's like, although it's not, it's like where I was, I've leveled up now. I'm on level 2 and I'm trying to get to level 5.
Right.
So it's still like, wow. I mean, I moved up a peg from where I had. So I've just got to be appreciative of that.
Yeah.
I actually didn't do a vision board this year because last year I manifested so hard on accident. It wasn't an accident. I wasn't expecting my manifestation to come true like that. It was really like, ask and you shall receive in abundance. And God was like, okay, I got something for you. And the cup overflowed. And
Corey was like, I don't know what to do. I can't clean this up. She was running around.
I only have one cup.
Meanwhile, I'm over here like, yes.
She's like, girl, move over. I'm gonna catch the splash.
Yeah.
Which is totally fine because the abundance is to share. So
I was jumping up and down on the bed.
She was. For me, I really think that they work. And so for this year, instead of like making a board of everything that I envisioned for this year, I took the time to just put everything that I accomplished in the last year on the board so that I can look at it and be reminded of all the things that I manifested for myself, so that when I am ready to manifest something new for myself, I can remember like how intentional I need to be and how this actually works. And it did frighten me a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you how well the vision board worked. I really wasn't expecting that, you know, even though I set the intention for myself. I think I was just like, this is something I can work towards, you know. I just felt very, very overwhelmed. I didn't know how to navigate this new space that I was in. And a lot, it was happening in this space at the same time. So yeah, I didn't really manifest this year, but I think it was really important for me to take that time to just sit with everything that had just happened, and appreciate
enjoy the
what
fruits of
life
your
has.
labor.
Exactly. Taking the time to enjoy what you have manifested. There's so many like different steps to the way we manifest how we want our lives to be. So instead of like how I was talking about earlier, instead of just like constantly feeling like I have to keep working, so I don't work out of a scarcity mindset. So instead of feeling like, oh, I have to do this because, you know, this, I enjoy myself. If I want to go read a book, you know, out in nature, I go read a book out in nature and connect back to my center and connect back to like a younger me, right? Not necessarily like I don't want to be a child, but I do want to be connected to the part of me that is still excited about being a creative and being and manifesting and moving forward in life and not being jaded towards like the bad thing that happened 2 days after the good thing, you know?
Yeah.
So
the fact that you brought up scarcity mindset is just so interesting because I was listening to a miscellaneous audio this morning. And like the host was talking about like how scarcity mindset is the whole basis of economics, the way it's taught today, and how like if you go back and study tribes, you know, people who still live in like a tribal mentality versus like in our industrialized communities, how like they actually operate from abundance. And like I want to look more into that just in general, but the fact that you said scarcity mindset made me think of that because that is something that has been coming up for me probably for the last year, is just challenging that whole idea of scarcity. And I think if you are someone who is like, if you are naturally kind of connected to the rat race and you're like, this is what I have to do, then manifestation might be hard for you because in order to manifest, you have to be open to the possibilities. You have to be open to an abundance, to receive an abundance. And so I just think that's interesting that if there's people who are like, you know, kind of like grind culture, hustle culture,
oh yeah,
like, and they do that. There's like this finite amount of resources, and they gotta scratch and claw and fight and do whatever they have to do to get this finite resource. Like manifesting in and of itself may be difficult because it requires you to connect to the abundance of the universe.
Yeah, well, so to go off of that, I've dealt with people who are very much like, because my one thing about manifestation out here, I'm gonna play off what somebody said. Don't allow anybody to make you feel bad about where you are in your manifestation. And what I mean by that is, I had a girl that was around me for a little bit. I had to get rid of her because it became too much. But I remember when I was at a low point, when she was at a high point, and she tried to point out, well, it's your fault that you're at this low point. Not that God had like slowed my life down because other things needed attention, but that it was my fault that I wasn't where she was. And if I worked a little harder, or if I had this nonstop grind, no days off, no sleep, blah, blah, like bullshit head ass way of thinking, because it was like, sis, just because like, no, I'm asleep. You can keep going because it's a marathon, not a sprint.
right.
And the tortoise
Right.
always beats the hare. So you go ahead and sprint. I'm going to take rest because I know I'm tired and I know that my body and my mind need it. So it's not to say that I'm not manifesting and I'm not working behind the scenes, but right now my season is just not right now. And while you're in yours, I'm going to exalt you and, you know, be happy that you're in yours, but you can't tear mine down because you're where you are and where you think I should be. I'm not, because like Corey, because at any point it could come and my cup will runneth over. And then what?
If you're not prepared for it because you're tired,
Exactly.
you
You'll
missed
miss
your
it.
opportunity. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's important to honor your body and honor what's right for you. And yeah, your manifestation is not going to look like everybody else's. And I really like what you said
Nope.
about like being in the off season, because I think that we do are societally are conditioned, like somebody was saying, in this kind of capitalist world that we live in, is that you feel like you constantly have to be on, and that if you're not on, then that means you're not as good as everybody else, or you're not like cool, or you don't still have that like cool strength and power that you had when you were on your on season. And the off season is just as important as the on season, because the way you get on the on season is by taking your time in the off season. No one is constantly pumping and pumping and pumping. Your body's not even doing that. We go to sleep at night because your body needs an off. You know what I'm saying? So I think part of the manifestation is honoring.
Well, don't turn all the way off, girl. Just.
Well, yeah.
It's on autopilot.
Okay. It's on a snooze. Yeah. It's on snooze.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. It's not off.
The physiologist in me is like,
yeah. Yes, you're funny. But yeah, I think like a big part of manifestation is honoring your off season and not being afraid if people leave you. Because I think a lot of people, like for me, I'm afraid of having an off season because I'm like, oh, like what if people lose interest in me? The people who are really there for you for genuine reason are going to stick around for your off season, because they don't need you to be on all the time, because they're preoccupied with their own things, that it's not gonna affect them if you're not constantly winning. And Beyonce's not even on her own season all the time.
The people who constantly need you to produce are likely there because they're hoping to get something from your whatever you're producing.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's necessary just to have an off season so I can see who's fake, who needs to go. You know, okay, when I'm not productive, when you view me as unproductive, if you don't view me as, like winning and, being top of my game, are you going to fall away? If you fall away, it's not like in a negative way. It's just like, it can be very illuminating. Yeah. So then you can see who's really with you, when you don't have anything. So when you actually, start to produce again, and I think you're always producing, even if it's not visible to other people. But when it becomes visible, the fruits of your labor become visible. When you go through that season of pruning, who's there on the other side of that. And those people are likely the ones, they were with you shooting in the gym.
Exactly.
Right. So true. Me and Beth talked about that the other day.
And I feel so bad because I'm like, I cannot wait for my moment of you weren't with me shooting in the gym. But I also feel like, girl, Beth, you got to stop, because God ain't going to bless you if you keep sitting here saying, I can't wait to be like, I don't know you.
Right. I can't wait to rub it in your face.
It's not that God won't bless you. It's just you have to think about everything is energy. And energy is not created nor destroyed. It's
right. But like me pretending to be like Mariah Carey to people is not really creating any energy if that's how I feel. Like, I don't know you.
You're putting down. No, okay. If you don't know them, then you don't know them. But if you're like, you know what? Yeah, I can't wait till I get famous so I can ignore you. Like, that's probably not the best energy you can put out. It's
not the best energy, but sometimes people deserve that, because it's like the energy. No, listen and hear me out, because this is true. I feel like so many people won't support you in spite of knowing that this is something you really want, because they're waiting to see other people support you in order to give you the support that they know they would give you if you were a random stranger. I have so many friends that are in the faces of everyone else, like, and they'll make, like, sometimes they make little, not my friends, but sometimes people make little snide comments like, oh yeah, you're gonna go work on your podcast, and it's like, you're calling it a little podcast because you're trying to belittle something that you wouldn't have the courage or the audacity or the hard work or the goal or just the tenacity to do yourself. So you want to make my thing small to make yourself appear big, and it's because you don't see the value in something that I'm doing. But once other people see the value, that's when, oh yeah, I knew you had it all along. I've been here. No, you haven't.
So I used to be also a person's like, I can't wait till my stuff pops off and I get this many followers so I can unfollow this person, right? Unfollow them now. Like, just do it now, because you never know that person could be trying to block your blessing. The moment you just cut them off or unfollow them or do whatever is when your blessings roll in. And that's what I did. Like, instead of waiting till I got a certain amount of followers, like I did a purge. I cleaned out all my followers. So that way, like when my Instagram and stuff started popping off and I started following people back, I was a little bit more intentional about like the accounts that I wanted to see on my page, that were going to lift me up and make me feel good. And it propelled me closer to that, because I wasn't going to wait for that. I wasn't going to wait for the abundance to come. I was just going to create it by clearing out everything now. Because sometimes your abundance can't get in because there is so much stuff blocking the door.
And like, you're right, it should be a thing of unfollowing, but I have always, for me, like, yeah, it's probably better that I just unfollow them now, because it's really, a follow is really, it really means nothing to some people. But when you're trying to be successful, a follow is, you know, like money, because it's exposure. It's people getting to see your work. It's people getting to see your creative genius, your brainchild, anything that you happen to be working on. So it's like when you're manifesting things over your life and you know people that know you and they know you're trying to manifest things, but they actively don't support it. It's almost kind of like I wonder how you actually, like, one thing, if I had a superpower, it would be, I wonder what people actually thought about me, because it's like, that would help me know who to steer clear from. Because, like, why are you around me? If you don't believe in the work that I am doing and the work I am trying to, you know, what I'm trying to do in my life outside of my professional career, why are you here? If you don't actually like me, why are you here?
I think that I just want to reply to that and say, step out on faith, because if that person is not supporting you anyway, they're not helping you get towards your goal. So it's like, why would I even still waste energy on someone who's not going to help me get to where I need to go? Like, if you were trekking in the woods and you were trekking side by side with someone, right? And they had cold water and they refused to give you water, you gonna keep walking with them? But I'm saying, would you continue to walk with someone as they're drinking water in your face? You're gonna keep walking with them? What good does that do you?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would deck them and then probably drink the water and then give it back.
Okay. Anyway, I wanted to go back and visit something Beth had said about how she doesn't tell people about her manifestations because that they'll try to like go against them. Because my vision board from 2019, I put it on my YouTube, and I think from like speaking it out like that, was able to see things come into fruition more. But I'm really working towards like being loud and proud and strong and being able to stand on my own 2 feet loudly. Because I think that's like such an important thing to have, is to be able to be like, to stand on what it is that you're saying and what it is that you believe in. Because there are people out here who will try to like, you know, shake you off of what you feel. But I think there's something so powerful about being able to be like, I'm going to be a singer one day. And there are probably going to be people out there who like, you can't sing that well and have so many words, but like, why does their opinions and energy, like, it can't really penetrate something that I've already spoken to God about?
Right. You know, the interesting thing for me is I agree with what you guys are saying. I think I was there before, and something happened. Like, I kind of talked about it in previous episodes about how like I would just kind of play small, and like people would be like, "Well, how did you end up there?" And I'm like, "I don't know." You know, like I've been more intentional, I think, about being honest about what it is that I want to accomplish. You know, so professionally, if I'm in a meeting and someone's like, "Well, what do you want to do?" Before I'd be like, "Well, I don't really know what I want to do." And at one point in time that was true. I didn't know. But I do know there is something within me that I want to accomplish, and I would not talk about it because I was afraid that like almost like, oh, I would jinx it if I said something about it. And now I think where the space that I'm moving into now is you know, I need to become the thing that I want to attract. And if like, why, if it's like my blessing is like looking at me like, okay, well, when you're ready to say what it is that you want,
Right.
I'll come.
Are you ashamed of me? Your blessing's like, are you ashamed?
Exactly. And so it's very interesting, like, you know, professionally now what I'll do is they're like, oh, well, what do you want to do? And I'll tell them. And that, honestly, speaking it gives it life, so that the people who are for it are able to be like, oh, well, this opportunity might be good for you since you're interested in this.
Yes.
And I've had the opportunity of people, or the experience of people speaking life into it. So like I said it once to like a friend over coffee a couple of days ago, and I was like, yeah, well, I mean, I'm thinking of this, and I'm like, but maybe, you know, maybe that's just not the thing for me. She's like, no, I think you would be great at that. And so you also, just as depending on the people you're around, I think, you know, obviously having a good support system and just community in general is important. But when you start speaking that around healthy people, they can speak life into you that you wouldn't get if you know, just kept it hidden.
To yourself. Right.
Yeah.
Well, and
I agree.
It's not necessarily like trying to keep it hidden, because like I've had situations where it's like I feel like you can almost feel when someone's being genuine with wanting to know, and you can almost see when somebody is like upset with what you're saying. So like I could say, like we could be sitting there and I could be like, so I'm thinking about, I'm thinking about dyeing my hair teal, right?
Yeah.
And if the other person starts squirming, almost as to be uncomfortable, because it's like now they feel like they have to one up or you know, do something that makes them stand out more. And it's like, why? Like you could, like, there is enough room for all of us. And if this is not something that you want, but you're just doing it because you know that it's something that I want, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Because what is it called? There's so many celebrities. There's no Beyonce's. There's only one Beyonce. There's only one Aretha Franklin. There's only one Michael Jackson. There's tons. There's one Corinne Grace.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No, you're right. You're sorry. I didn't hear what you're doing. I thought you were actually clearing your throat at first, but there's one Corinne Grace. You may want to do the exact same thing I'm doing, and you're only doing it because you feel like I don't deserve to have this. So what you're doing is putting yourself up against me when I'm not doing that. I am in my own lane. I've created my own avenue. It's going to be NSYNC to Backstreet Boys if you play with me.
I want to say, I want to respond back to both of you guys, which is Amelia. I want to say, I think that's so true because recently, at the beginning of the year when I was going to do my manifestation video that I decided not to, I had a couple fans that were like, where's your manifestation video? We want to manifest what you want with you. We want to be able to like help you work towards the goals that you want. And I thought that was really beautiful because I'm like, oh my gosh, like there are people out here who want to see me succeed just as much as I want to see myself succeed. And that was like such a nice reminder. But so I used to hang out with somebody, and she would always tell me about her dream to move away. And I would always get uncomfortable, not realizing that it was affecting her, right? And it wasn't a personal thing. It wasn't like, oh, she can't move away because I don't want her to move away. I was thinking about myself in that situation, and it was making me nervous. I was genuinely getting nervous at the thought of me moving away from my home and living out somewhere. And I'm just like, it's crazy that I can't connect with you on that thought because I don't have it, you know? But it wasn't until I realized that she was internalizing my uncomfort for myself as my uncomfort with her that I had to like switch around the way I was reacting when she told me that. And so I started to react a little bit more positively. So when she was talking about how she wanted to move away, I'm like, girl, that the thought of moving away makes me so nervous, but I think you should do it. Right. Cause I'm like, I wasn't communicating to her that was like stressing me out, putting myself in that situation, and not really thinking about the fact that it's like, okay, I don't have to be in that situation. She wants to be in that situation. So let me support her through that. And so I think like if somebody, for me, like how you were saying, like if you want to dye your hair teal and someone gets uncomfortable, okay, be uncomfortable. I hope you work through that. I hope you figure out why it is that you feel uncomfortable.
Right. Because other people's feelings are theirs to own.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
But if you know that this is someone that like you've in the past, like if you've ever dealt with somebody that's like this, and I'm sure we've all dealt with somebody like this because I feel like we each have a friend that we've had this situation with. But it's just kind of like, if you know that this person is like they're, you know, we've all had to come to terms with each other being like, why are you friends with this person?
Right.
Girl.
Why are you friends with this person? And we've done it to each other. And it's like, you know, there was each one of us all had an excuse like, well, you know, I've known them for X amount of years, and it's like, we've all had our reasons of why we kept the person around us.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the person ends up no longer being a part of our life. And it's
Fact.
not, it's no shade, no, nothing like that. But it's just a thing of like, why do we keep this person that we know does not want our best interests around?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, it's not like we have the worst interest for them. Like, we want to see them do big things, but it's like, why can't they come to terms with just being a better person? And so that's why I'm like, no, I keep my manifestations to myself, because I have seen it with friends, with
Yeah.
people that are close to me, that are supposed to be my friend, that are supposed to uplift me and want to be, you know, in the limo with me.
Right.
Instead, will be taking the bus to the concert because they're not somebody that I want, because I know if this car breaks down, like Oprah Winfrey said, you don't want the friend that wants to always be in a limo. You want the friend that if that limousine breaks down, they are willing to get on public transportation with you.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I 1000% agree with that. I think it's also where I am now is being like, or what I had to get to after having friends like that is like, I don't want to have people around me that I can't share the things that I want in my life. So if you are someone who, when I have something to say or dream to dream,
Yeah.
or something good that happens to me, and I tell you, and you're like, you don't have no response, nothing good,
Yeah.
you know, and it's probably not about, it's not about me. I know that. But if that's how you respond, you're not giving me the energy that I need right now. So look, don't worry about it.
Right.
I will just find people who are
Like
in
my,
a better place to receive or to share in my joy. And it's nothing against you if you're not in that place. That's a part of your own journey.
Mm.
And I create space as best as I can. But
The
I
way I'm
also,
going to create space is by letting you feel how you feel, but away
yeah,
from me. No,
away
seriously.
from me. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Facts.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because
Yeah.
you're doing both of, like, law of attraction is so real, and the people you hang out with. I love the quote or phrase, you are most like the 5 people that you hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
I love that because it always keeps me cautious. I'm like,
Yeah.
do I like the people that I'm around? Do I think they're good people? Can I
Yeah.
name 3 things about each of the people that I surround myself with that I like? And that keeps me on the path. Like, essentially, yes, you're always manifesting for yourself in everything that you do, and the people that you hang out with, and the way you speak to yourself. I also really like the phrase, you can't hate yourself into a version that you love. When you wake
Facts.
up in the morning, and when you look in the mirror, find something on your body that you like, tell yourself you're going to have a good day, tell yourself you're going to kick today's butt, and watch how your energy changes to the music that you listen to in the morning, right? Like, if I'm in a bad mood, I did this one time I was in a really bad mood, I was sad and mad at the same time. I started listening to Linkin Park. If only you can imagine my energy, my sad and mad energy multiplied, right? But if
Yeah.
but if I decided to listen to something like maybe Big Sean or Coldplay, I might have been able to, like, hype myself up a little bit more. Like, I might have still been sad, but I wouldn't have multiplied the mad sadness by, listening to something that's mad and sad. So I feel
Yeah.
like you're constantly, manifestation is either big or small, you're constantly manifesting the life you have in all of your actions. So just take a look around at what you think might need a change for your blessings to pour in.
Yeah.
Because if you feel like they're blocked, there's definitely something that you can do to change that. Even if, like, you don't like, and I'm not even talking about financially, right? Like, if you wake up every day feeling crummy, why don't you start your day with a prayer? If you wake up every day feeling achy, why don't you start your day with some yoga?
Yeah. No, like, that's so true, because we were at the pool earlier, and I was telling them, I was like, I have designated Sundays to my chores. So, like, on Sundays, I have things that I know that I have to get done. And it was at one point somebody had said to me, they were like, why are you, what did they say? They were like, well, why are you, is this something like your mom has set in place? Like, kind of making like a little, like, I guess, jab or joke or whatever. I said, no, it's something that I set in place because I had, like, there was a point in my life where I would wake up to the point where I could not see my floor. I hadn't seen my floor in 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were like, you know, their first response was to be like, ill. And someone else had to interject and be like, I mean, it's not really ill because that's a sign of depression.
Yeah.
And I was like, exactly. So if I know that I have these spouts of being depressed for long periods of time, I'm trying to set the intentionality and manifest, like, I want to keep my room clean. So every day, every Sunday, I make sure that I set I can't do anything unless my chores are done. So I know that going into the week, I can feel good about where I'm going, and it makes me feel good about the path that I'm on.
Yeah. 1000%. A firm believer in small changes can make big impacts.
Yeah. Me too.
Did we have any like
final words?
My one thing is, don't let anybody in this life tell you anything about yourself, because nobody can tell you about who you are. Only you can tell you about you. People will try to tear you down and make you out to be something, but that is projection. And you can't project anything onto me that I don't accept.
I agree. I would say that my biggest epiphany came in life when I realized how I was in control of myself and how I could be anybody I wanted to be in this life. I love romanticizing my life. I love lighting I really do. I love lighting a candle. And people will tell you like, oh, that's childish. But they don't have to live inside your head, right? They don't understand what you go through. So for someone who also goes through very long depressive episodes, it's so important to always be reminding myself of the beauty that my life possesses. You know, you can literally be who you want to be. And I think that is just so like such a beautiful thing out of life, to just be able to constantly be able to create the energy that they keep stealing, in the words of my man Big Sean. No, I'm playing. But yeah. But yeah, it's really beautiful to create an energy that's going to be so unique to you.
Yeah.
That there's only one thing. All right, so your advice.
For me, I think the biggest thing is that we live in a big, beautiful world. Like, the opportunities are endless. And I just think that when you get busy living your life, you're not worried about what other people are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, use your energy, your time, your talents to build a world, like, to make the world a better place. Like, not just for yourself, but when you're doing it for yourself and you're not doing it and harming other people, you're also creating a better world for those around you. And I just think that our energy is better used doing that than trying to tear people down. So, like, just encouraging people that they can manifest the life that they want.
You said energy earlier, and I was like, energy go. See, that was the first time we actually learned. Oh, seriously, that was the first time we ever learned how to become another person. And it was Dana Carvey. If you're out there, thank you for Master of Disguise.
I wonder if our listeners have seen the Master of Disguise.
Yep. If you're a listener of our podcast, we would love if you guys would leave us some voice memos that we can play in the episodes. If you guys have any questions or comments about the episode, if you click our FM profile, there's going to be something for you to record a voice memo. So leave us a voice memo. We would love to hear from you guys. We'd love to hear what you think. We are so thankful that you guys are here listening to our podcast, listening to us. I have such a good time doing this with my sisters. Gratitude is also a very important part of manifestation, and just a very important part of life to help you stay positive. But I am very grateful that we're able to like come together on Sundays and do this. So you guys, make sure you follow us on Instagram, subscribe, follow us on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Any other closing remarks, you guys?
No, just strive to be the best you.
I mean, like closing it out, not like advice, just like any other stuff we want to say to close it.
Yeah, to close it, don't let the haters stop you from doing your thing.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Did you just say thing?
It's coming up. The G is silent when it's sneaky.
So if I hit finish recording with no outro, what y'all gonna do?
All right, I'm Samelia.
And I'm Beth.
I'm Corinne Grace. Thank you guys
and this
so
much. Ashley. No.
Thanks for listening to It's the Okay Podcast. See you guys next week.